I think that it's working now. Well, this is hey, I'm telling you, if you could only see the recording behind the scenes of the show when I'm doing my part and having to speak into the microphone, I never would play the bloopers, I guess, from the show because I believe that would be totally inappropriate, but they do exist, and it often takes me several times to get a sentence right. But I'm hoping that you can hear me now. There you are. Andrea's saying thank you. All right. Now we go. All right. And Bobby and Joni, Andrea, and whoever else, thank you for being patient. Something got changed in the, I don't know how it got changed between earlier today when I tested this and now. I apologize. But thank you for joining me tonight. Okay. I was just saying, bloopers happen, computers, you never know. In fact, on my Mac, I got a huge update yesterday or the day before, totally changed all of my GarageBand settings for some reason. So when I went to start recording the show today, I had to mess around with the levels and everything before I could get them right. So there you go. So here's what's going to go on tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe some things you see in the background. I want to show you my shirt. We're going to talk about the case. Then I'm going to do a little business. And then I'm going to take your questions. And now that we're 10 minutes late, I got to work on this decently fast. You'll see my shirt. The X-Files shirt. This shirt is about over 20 years old. It went with me from Pennsylvania to Las Vegas, now to Florida. I'm guessing I got this in like 95 or 96. I was a huge X-Files fan. The show was never right after Mulder and Scully left. Once they brought in, and I forget the actor and actress's names or the characters' names, it was just never the same. I actually thought both of the movies that they've done were good. However, I did not get to see that little mini-series they had last year. I did not get to see all those episodes. I heard after the first episode it kind of went downhill. So there you go. So I'm wearing an X-Files shirt. Yes, the truth is out there. So I'm wearing an X-Files shirt tonight. Over here, that is a Pirates of the Caribbean poster. It's special because it's signed by Johnny Depp. My ex-girlfriend back in 2003 got that for me, and then I got it framed. It's a huge picture. The poster is regular poster size, but the frame is huge, so the picture is huge. And what's interesting about that is that I will leave this light that I'm using to light this video on at night, and I'll be doing work, and people walking to the beach or coming back from the beach will see it in here. They'll actually come on and knock on the door to tell me how cool the picture is. And in fact, I actually had one person offer me money for it. And then, so that's pretty cool. And then over my, I guess it'd be my right shoulder, that's a piano back there. Yes, I do play, although I haven't played recently. And you see some of my special disc golf discs. You see some piano music right there. And then some trophies that I've gotten for athletic events and other things over the years. A couple disc golf trophies are up there as well. So that's what you're seeing in the background. And then way over here, looks like a picture of my family on the wall. And then over on this side is where my TV is. So there you go. So I said Johnny Depp was going to be part of the show tonight. And there you go. Little poster from him. And by the way, in relation to where I usually sit over there. That's where my computer is, my Mac and everything. So the case that we're covering this week is the disappearance of Clinton Nelson. And I see Jen and Jill have joined. Nice to see them there. He disappeared in Louisiana, Princeton, Louisiana, on September 1st, 2006. The interview for this episode is with his mother, Carolyn Johnson. She's a very impressive woman. She has done a lot since 2006 to get to the bottom of what happened to her son. And she reminds me a lot of Gloria Denton, April Pitzer's mother, who I, of course, was on an episode and I know very well, and you heard her interview. That Carolyn lives in South Dakota, but she's made many trips to Louisiana. She's put her own team together to try to get to the bottom of the case. Just like Gloria made several trips out to California to try to get to the bottom of what happened to April. And in Gloria's case, interviewing some of the guys who probably did have something to do with her daughter's disappearance. Well, Carolyn is the same way. She has gone down to Louisiana, talked to a couple people who saw Clinton last, and has, I wouldn't say confronted them, but has done it on her own, not waiting around for the police to do their job, as you're going to hear about how another case where family members are frustrated. And it's an interesting case because he got to this party, allegedly left around 8:30. Some people saw him walk away. Some people said he got in a car. And you'd think that would be the end of the story, but then his father, who lived in Louisiana, who had been at the party earlier, had called Clinton like 2 hours later around 10:30, and he reached Clinton, and Clinton said the police were chasing him. So we're just not sure what to think. And of course, searches were done, dogs were sent out, and just no sign of him. That was the last time anybody saw Clinton. It was the last time his phone was used. And you'd think it'd be a very straightforward case, but he left at 8:30. Maybe foul play happened to him at that time at 8:30. But his father insisting that he talked to his son 2 hours later, long after Clinton was at the party. So that's the little wrench in the machinery of this that gets questions. Were the police chasing him? Is this another case where the police might be involved? Did he run off and fall into a river somewhere? Was it foul play? Did somebody actually pick him up maybe? And it'll be for you to try to figure out. But I think it's going to be the case. And also we're going to be talking to Carolyn about her work she has done in South Dakota, getting what I would call a very revolutionary law passed regarding missing persons and their DNA, something that I've not heard about before. So you'll get to hear about it. And you've heard about that before. You know that, for example, Mary Lau, Suzanne Lau's mother, she, of course, has gotten laws passed, Suzanne's law, regarding the reporting age. So people who are 18 years old can be considered children as well, even up to up to the age of 21 now. So it's another one of those situations where a mother has gone more than just doing the stuff that most families do. She's gone even more further, and you're going to hear about that this Friday. And I'll be interested to see what you think about what happened to Clinton. I think we're going to have a very good discussion after this case. And I see some other people. Dorothy, I see you. Brandy, Amy, Andrea. Clinton's mother is amazing. You're right. I remember way back on the show that I saw. I don't know what that show is, but yes, she is. And we're actually doing the interview tomorrow. So I haven't even done the interview. Of course, we've talked about what's going to be in it. But I've talked to her twice now. And I know it's going to be a spectacular interview I'm doing tomorrow. I know it's a little out of some things went on this week regarding the other interview that I had planned. That's all I really want to say at this point. So that's the case, Clinton Nelson. I hope you'll go to Charlie Project and other sites to read up on it, so you'll know a little bit about it when we get to it on Friday, when you get to hear it at 2 o'clock Eastern on Friday. So let's go to just some business stuff, and then I'm going to take your questions. A lot of good questions tonight, a lot of difficult questions tonight that I had to think about for the hour before this program came out. And I'm going to answer that composer question too before it's all over. Thank you for that, Joni. The books are now out in Volume 1, in ebook and print form. They're actually now combined onto the same site. They don't have separate sites. So if you find it, you can order the Kindle version or the print version on the same exact page on Amazon. $2.99 for the ebook, $10.99 for the print edition. And the print edition, depending on how fast you want it to get there, I guess it could be there in a day or 3 days. And of course, with the ebook, it'll download to your Kindle right away. I'm hoping to get those books in some other locations very shortly. And I have a bunch of them, the print editions that are coming to me and that I'm going to sign that will be for sale. I'm also giving them out to gifts to some of my guests. And I'm going to give away some of them for other reasons, including a couple contests as well. And of course, with Patreon contributions and PayPal contributions. So those are the books. I'm working on the playing cards. This Friday's case, Clinton Nelson's, is the 52nd case that I've covered. I've done more episodes, but this is the 52nd case. And so Clinton made his way onto the deck of 52, and I've been working on that, putting the artwork together with the name, location, date, phone number to the police that is going to be on every card. Just having an issue with the logos right now. Trying to fit it on the cards, but I'm sure I'll get that figured out. I'm not worried about that at all. Those will be for purchase and as a gift to hand out to people, to different groups. I hope to send some to some prisons, like has been done with other card decks in the past. I know Mary Lau did that for a bunch of missing persons cases up in New York. So I'm going to use the cards for a variety of uses, from both giving them away, and if you want to purchase them as a gift, because they are a unique gift. And I think it's I think it's going to be really good. I think it's another way to get the word out about these cases. Now, the contest that I announced last Saturday, I want to go over that real quick, and then we'll get to the questions. On Friday, and I'm going to change it up next week, I'm going to do this on the Facebook Live show. But this week, on Friday at some point, I'm going to say the picture that I want to see on the Facebook page where you are right now on Saturday between noon and 12. The way it's going to work, on Friday, I'll say I want a picture from the ebook showing me a picture of Suzanne Lyle. I'm not saying that's the one. It's the only thing that counts is what's on Friday. And then on Saturday, what will be required is between noon Eastern time and 12:15 Eastern time. I will say the contest starts now, and the first person to post the picture that I ask for, it shows on their Kindle, and post it to the Facebook page as soon after as I say contest started, you will get a prize. And the choices are: you either get a half hour of conversation with me, I will record it and send it to you. We can talk about anything, podcasting, writing, missing persons, serial killers, whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about it. I will record it as an MP3 file just like I do for the program, and I'll send it to you as a gift. The second choice is you get the Volume 1 paperback with my signature on it for free. I will take care of the shipping, all the costs involved. I will sign it, whatever message you want, and I will send it to you. Hello, Rachel. I see you just joined. So that's the second choice. The third choice will be you get the rest of the ebooks for free. Now, you're going to have to wait probably till March or something to have all of them. But that will be the third choice. So if you're only an ebook kind of person, that might be a good choice for you. If you want like a memento, like an actual paper book, then maybe the second choice is good for you. If you want to talk to me, if you want to be a podcaster, or you want to get into writing books or anything like that, that might be a good choice to you. I'm trying to tailor that to different types of people. I don't care what you pick. I don't. This is something that I want to do. I want to show appreciation to those people, for ebook people, and I'm going to also have contests for print edition people and people who, whether you don't have a Kindle or you don't want to spend $11 on a book. I understand. I'm going to try to cover everybody. But I thought since the Kindle was out, book was out, I thought that was the best place to start. And so on Friday, I'm going to tell you the picture that I want to see on Saturday between noon and 12:15 after I say contest started. So I may say at 12:05, I'll put a post up, contest started on the Unfound page. As soon as you see that, you post a picture, you win. All right, you win it. And no repeat winners, though, in the Volume 1 situation. So from now, if you win this weekend, you can't win again until I start Volume 2 or Season 2. Okay? So if anybody's not clear about those rules, please contact me. I hope all of you who got ebooks will take part. If you haven't given a review yet, I hope you go to Amazon and give the Volume 1 a review. If you have a Kindle but haven't downloaded the book yet and bought it, you got time. You got 3 days. I'd love to have you as part of the contest. All right. So let's get to the questions. I'm going to leave the news till later, too. Let's do a couple questions. Maybe then I'll do the news and then come back to the questions. Jill asked me, Jill Slocum, if I can use her last name. She asked me, which case do I think is most likely to get solved that has been covered by Unfound? That's a touchy question, first of all, because I think in answering it, I might reveal some things about some cases that the people, the family members, don't want people to know. So I have to be very careful in answering that. And the reason I also say that is because some of those things are going to be coming out in the books, and I still have to talk with family members about what I'm going to be putting in the future volumes about a question such as this. This question kind of goes along those lines. I would actually say, and I know this is not the answer you want, but I'm going to give you a real answer in a second. Probably Flight 370 is probably the most likely case that's going to get solved. Probably. Welcome, Carolyn. I see you, Carolyn, there. Thank you for joining in. Probably it's Flight 370 because it's so much money and all the people involved. I think they'll eventually figure out what happened. But I know that's not what you meant, Jill. I know you meant one of the personal cases. Without saying too much. And the criteria that I'm using is the police who I think are involved, what I think the family is doing, the evidence, all of that put together from what I know. A lot of these cases, I'm not sure what has gone on since Unfound covered them. I think that the Brandon Williams case has a very good chance of getting solved. I think it does. Given the criteria of police being involved, the family reaching out to other people for help, and some other evidence that has popped up since Unfound covered that case, where I had his sister Stormy on back in June. And maybe that's surprising to you. I don't know. But I really had to look over the cases, and I had to think about them long and hard to do that, to really come to a conclusion. That's the one that sticks out to me, and I may be totally wrong. I hope they all get solved tonight, tomorrow at the latest. But from what I know about what has gone on since Unfound covered all these cases, that is one that sticks out to me. So that's, Jill, that's a great question. I just have to be very careful how I answer it because I don't want to give anything away of what has gone on or anything like that. And hello, Linda. I see you there. We had a case solved today, arrest made. Okay. Well, Linda, I certainly want to hear more about that. The next question. If you could swap this is from Terry. If you could swap podcasting duties for a week, where would you go? Now, I have to get technical on this. You didn't say another true crime podcast. Maybe that's what you meant. I think it would be very difficult for me to do another true crime podcast and that host come over and do what I do. We're so used to our own genres. Unfound is a little different from a lot of the other ones. So I'm going to be, maybe this is a little bit of a cop-out, and I apologize for that. I picked a non-true crime podcast. I actually picked the Engage Star Trek podcast, mainly because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and that is an interview show where they have people from Star Trek, from the movies and the TV shows, and some of the directors and producers on there. And I think I would be good at that because I do interviews for Unfound. And likewise, that guy who hosts that show could come over and do interviews for 1 week on my show, and I think he's professional. I think he'd be probably good at it. And so that's my answer. And I'm looking here. That would be the answer that I give. Now, if I had to do a YouTube kind of podcast, which I guess is kind of the same thing on YouTube, I'm a big fan of Doug DeMuro, the guy who does the car videos showing all the quirks and exotic cars. I love that show. I think he does a great job with that. And also a fan of Beyond the Trailer with Grace. She covers movie trailers and movie reviews. I think she does a great job. And those are some of the things I watch on YouTube. But it's technically a podcast. It would be the Engage Star Trek podcast. And welcome to Sunny Nelson. Hello, how are you? And I see Vicky Joseph in here. Hello, Vicky. Good to see you on here. Good to see you. Welcome. Next question, and then we're going to do a little bit of news, and then I'll come back to the questions. Next question is, do you find it difficult to narrow your choices? This is from Scott. Do you find it difficult to narrow your choices when deciding what to do your next podcast on? I know this is going to be, when I was thinking of the answer to this question, I thought of that part of Tropic Thunder where Robert Downey Jr. playing Osiris says he doesn't read scripts, the scripts read him. I thought of this when I came up with this answer. I don't pick the cases pick me. And what I mean by that, this is not a program, Unfound is not a program where I can just randomly go out and pick cases. It's an interview show. So for those people to be on the program, they have to pick me. They have to pick me. Most of them have never heard of Unfound before or me before, and a lot of them don't even know what podcasting is. It's, a lot of them I have to explain what it is. Podcasting, although it's common to us, to a lot of people, it's not. They've never heard of it, and that's why I'm trying to push Unfound outside the realm of podcasting. That's why I do the books and other things. So I don't pick the cases, they pick me. And these people choose to be on the program. They talk to me. They talk to other people who helped me. I mentioned Emily is a name, an assistant of mine who has helped me. Mary Lau has found cases for me, people for me to talk to. But eventually it's those people who make the decision to be on the program. But you should know, and I see Melissa joining, welcome. You should know that finding people to talk to is a 24/7 job between myself and some of these people who help me out doing it. It's a 24/7 job every day of the week. Every day of the week. And I turn down no conversation. Somebody wants to talk to me, a family, I talk to all of them, even if some of them don't end up on the program. So it's not like other shows where they just decide, we're going to do this topic. We're going to talk about the original Night Stalker this week. They could do that because most of these other shows are interview shows. So I don't pick, once again, I don't pick the cases. The cases pick me. I don't pick my guests. The guests pick me. That's the best way that I can put it. So let's go to a little news. I said I was going to talk about Olivia Newton-John. I want to cover that. I want to talk about Cherry Papini a little bit. And then we are going to go back to a couple more questions, and then we'll call it a night. Olivia Newton-John, if you didn't know this, back in 2005, a guy that she was dating, his name is Patrick McDermott, disappeared on a fishing trip. He was on a boat out in the Pacific Ocean with, I guess, like 20-some people. The boat came back, but he didn't. And it's been very odd because the people who were on that boat, it seems that they couldn't keep their story straight. They were all very hush-hush about what happened to Patrick during this trip. Of course, the common belief is that he fell overboard and drowned and unfortunately died. But then, in 2010, he resurfaced. Allegedly, some private investigators down in Mexico found him, and he popped up again. But then, I don't know why they didn't bring him back or anything. Linda's asked me, was he declared dead? Linda, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think he was just presumed dead. And I am by far not an expert on this case. But now the reason we're talking about it, why I'm talking about it tonight, is it seems he has popped up again. And once again, private investigators are saying that he is somewhere. And they found him, and they've seen him. And I have to tell you, I don't know. This seems to me, this story at this point gives the feeling to me of a little bit of clickbait. Because it seems all of these people who are alleged law enforcement professionals, from detectives to private investigators, they can all find him, but they can't bring him back. And the reason he should be brought back is because he's a deadbeat dad. He owed his ex-wife child support, like $8,000 or something. And some people who believe that he disappeared on purpose believe that he disappeared for that very reason. He's essentially a criminal. So if all these people can find him, Why can't they bring him back? And that continues to be a question. I wonder, are these people saying that they've seen him just to give themselves notoriety, just to get themselves attention, so they can seem like experts because it's going to be a great book. They get on this show, they get on that show. When I don't know if there's any proof that he's ever been seen. At this point, it feels like clickbait to me. But I'm willing to look at any information otherwise. But it's a missing persons case, and I thought that I should talk about it. So Patrick McDermott, he's popped up again. Not sure if the sighting is true or not. If you've not heard of that situation, that case, please look it up. Please check it out, and I would be interested to see what you think about it. The other case that I want to talk about is Sherry Papini. This is a case that I've posted a couple times in the discussion group, and it's generated a lot of good discussion. I'm not talking about this case because it's, once again, we just talked about clickbait, because it's like a popular story. I choose instead to look at Sherry Papini's disappearance and then coming back is a good way to learn something about missing persons cases. That's what I think. I think that some people out there think she's lying. I think that there are some good reasons to suspect that. On the other hand, I think that there are some good reasons to suspect that she's telling the truth. And what I want to focus on is if she's telling the truth, and it's true that two women tried to abduct her and whatever else, I think then we have to start thinking about some of these other women who have disappeared jogging, wherever, California or wherever, and think that maybe women did that as well. I think we always think, well, woman disappears jogging or going into park, that a guy had to do it. Maybe that attitude needs to change. Maybe if these two women are caught, maybe they have something to do with some other missing persons cases, maybe, like I said, not even California. We need to learn, we need to use these types of situations where a person disappears and comes back to learn more about missing persons cases in general. What can we apply? What can we learn from Sherry Papini's disappearance and apply it to other cases in the effort to solve them? That's what we have to, I think, learn for this. Other people, they just want to get on chat boards and theorize and theorize and theorize and theorize. I want to learn something from this. I want to be able to take all the facts and then apply it to any of the cases that Unfound covers, whether it's in the past or in the future, and any other cases that I might run across. And so that's why I think that her case should be studied instead of just theorized on over and over and over. I don't know if she's lying or not, and the other reason I'm talking about it is because there's a video out now showing when she did come back running through that parking lot at like 4 in the morning or something. And that happened approximately a year ago. I don't know if it seems like yesterday, it seems like 10 years ago, but that was about a year ago that she disappeared for 3 weeks. So let's go back to the questions. And the next question I'm going to take is a question from Meg. And Meg it was wrote this question to me just this evening. Meg asked, do you ever find yourself getting too attached to a case or to a family member who you interview? Is there a certain case that you just cannot get out of your head? I feel attached to all of my guests, even though I've only met a few of them. But having said that, I would say that the ones I feel most attached to are the ones who I've met. I've met two different guests. I've met Lisa Kassoon, who is the sister of, hi Kelly, how are you doing tonight? I met Lisa Kassoon, sister of Chip Campbell. I've met her twice. It's convenient since she lives in the Tampa area. We met before she did the interview, and we met after she did the interview. And I think very highly of her. And I text with her maybe once or twice a week, just about Chip's case, about various things. And so I feel very close to her, being that I've met her in person. The other guest that I got to meet in person was when I was back in Pennsylvania. I got to meet the mother and father of Donnie Smatlack, one of the first cases that I did, and it will be in volume 2, actually. I met his family back in Pittsburgh. They're from the Pittsburgh area, so I feel very attached to them as well. And yes, Linda, yes, Dawn Turner seems to think highly of me. I think highly of her. The feeling is mutual. But I got to meet Linda Smatlack back in Pennsylvania, and we sat in Eaton Park. If you don't know what an Eaton Park it is, it's a restaurant chain in the Pittsburgh area. We sat there for 3 hours and just talked. Hello, Leslie. How are you doing tonight? And we had a great time. And I hope to get together with them again when I go to Pittsburgh again. Whether I go back for Christmas, although my mother would love me to do that, or back next summer. It's great. I look forward to again. And I'm also supposed to meet Ali Nagy from Ohio when I go back the next time. We just couldn't line up a time to meet, but I've talked to him recently about meeting him. So I think the people who I feel personally the closest to are the ones who I've met in person. Now, you should know something. There is a guest, and I'm going to mention her because she's I feel emotionally connected to her because she's one of my only guests who just actually calls me out of the blue, and I love it. I love it. And that's Joyce Rivituzzo. You're doing well, Leslie? Great to hear that. Great. Joyce Rivituzzo, she'll just call me out of the blue. And I like I said, I love it. And I don't know if she's watching tonight. I know she has watched in the past. And I know she'll eventually watch this video. But I was over at a disc golf tournament back in May in Orlando, and I was in my hotel room watching TV or doing something after, I think it was the night before the tournament started. And the phone rings, and it's Joyce Rivituzzo. Talked to her for like an hour, and really just within the last week, I was here doing some work at home. Joyce calls me again. So I feel connected to her. She obviously thinks highly of me. I think highly of her. And she feels very comfortable with me. And our personalities go very well together. So I think that's another person who I've become very emotionally attached to. But all of my guests are friends. I talk to a lot of them at least once a month. And I wish I could meet all of them in person. I wish I could. I feel very close to Mary Lau too because she was the first interview I ever did. And I've talked to her many times on the phone. She, of course, wrote the foreword to Volume 1. And I feel she's been very supportive of Unfound. It's been very, very important to me to get her support. So I feel very emotionally attached to her as well. So I hope that answers your question. I hope. Let's move on to something else. Another question. And this is from, and I apologize if I do not pronounce this name correctly, Elijah, E-L-E-G-I-A. And I thank you for this question. She wants my opinion on the future of podcasts and the financing of them. And she told me, I don't think she could watch tonight. She told me to have a great show tonight. And thank you for the question. My opinion on the future of podcasting and the financing of them. I have a general idea about this. I think it is risky for podcasters, especially in the true crime genre, to rely just on ads for making money for their podcast. I think that the financing of hello, Joey, how are you doing tonight? Joey Harrington, nice for you to join us tonight. I think it's a mistake to just rely on ads. As you know, I don't have any ads, and I think you have to take a look at newspapers. What has happened to newspapers with them relying on ads, and we know what has happened to the newspaper business in the last 10 years. They relied on ads and financing for so long, and then the way communication happens changed, and a lot have gone out of business, and a lot of them are struggling. You look at network TV relying on commercials. What has happened? It's allowed HBO to take over a lot of the programming. Netflix. People are avoiding commercials and ads, frankly, because they can now. They can. And podcasters have to realize that. Have to. So what I've done to do that is I start looking at different venues where Unfound can be and make a difference. And one of the main things I believe is that Unfound has to go outside of, it's always going to be podcast, but it has to go other places. It has to be books. I have to be open to maybe doing a TV show and all of these other things, you know, a TV show without ads or something like that, because that's the best way to get, first of all, it's the best way to get the word out there about these cases and try to solve these cases. But if this is something that I want to do 24/7 for the rest of my life, then I need to make sure that the program is on secure financial footing. And I think when you rely on mostly ads for your revenue, I think you have to start looking at these other things that have happened and say, you know what, I don't know if that's the best way to go. It's one way, but you need to have, I think, 4, 5, 6 revenue streams to protect against something going wrong with ad revenue. I don't want, you know, as you know, I Unfound is always going to be free. I'm never going to put it behind a paywall or anything like that. But then that's the reason the books exist. That's the reason I have the PayPal account, the Patreon account. That's why I'm looking at these other ways. But all I can tell you is this. Everything that Unfound will ever do is always geared toward solving cases. All right. So if I sell T-shirts, it's going to have a missing person's picture and their information on the back. I'm putting these playing cards together. It has the information on them. Okay. That is my commitment. That's my commitment. So to answer her question, you know, the future of financing, I think that podcasters have to be on their toes. I think they have to have their head on a swivel and be ready if they see a change coming. Because frankly, right now, the way I see it, if ad revenue would dry up for some of the popular podcasts out there, and that can happen anytime. You know, when you're financing your show through ads, you're financing it through somebody else, somebody choosing to be a part of your show. That choice can always change. So you need to be aware of that. And you need to be prepared for that. If it's podcasting and true crime or anything else, you want to do this for the rest of your life. You have to be prepared. So where's financing going? I think that it has to go away from ads. I think ads have to be just one of various ways to make a show happen. There you go. And do I have any other questions? Terry, Alegia, Scott, Meg. Oh, Nan. I don't want to forget Nan. Thank you, Angela. The playing card idea, thank you. It's not original. It's not original. I know that Mary Lau did that up in New York. And I know back when they were trying to get Saddam Hussein, the American government did that, trying to track down all of the bad guys in Iraq. They used it, and it's probably been done even before that. Probably goes back a long ways. It's not an original idea, but I appreciate you saying that you love Unfound getting into that as well. Thank you. Nan. Edward Densel. With podcasts becoming a valuable tool in investigations, do you ever see a change in how law enforcement handles missing persons cases? For instance, a universal missing person task force. I hate to be negative on this, Nan, but probably not. The issue with, there's only so much money to go around. And the only way that missing, and this is something that I think about often, is how do you make solving missing persons cases easier? The issue right now with missing persons cases, not just in the United States, but in the world, it's hard to tell the difference between the people who have left, put my hand here, the people who have left and are coming back, and the people who have left who aren't coming back. The police right now at this time cannot tell the difference. They don't. They can't. And what happens after a while is you get maybe some gung-ho detectives who want to solve a missing person case, and then they find out it was just some runaway. The person's come back, and the family doesn't even let the cops know that the teenager came back. After a while, it's like, what? Peter crying wolf. That you just, and that's what you hear a lot in the cases that Unfound covers. The cops have a hard time taking a lot of these disappearances seriously. We have to figure out a way for them to take them seriously, and it starts with how to determine these people aren't coming back and these people are coming back. And I've thought long and hard about this, and I think it's going to come down to statistics. I think it's going to come down to some sort of checklist. I think it's going to come down to percentages, just crunching the numbers regarding all missing persons cases. All right. And it could be something where a policeman actually has some kind of sheet and he asks these questions, and he goes down yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, maybe 20 questions. And that way he can determine, is this person coming back? Does this person fall into the category of people who come back? Or does this person fall into the category of people who usually don't come back? And these people, if the person falls into the category of the people who don't come back, then we need to take this seriously. Whereas if the person falls into the other category, maybe we're just going to have to give it a couple days. It's just an idea. It's something I think about quite a bit. But that is the key, figuring out the difference between the people who aren't coming back and the people who are most likely to come back. That's as best as I can answer that. And those were the questions. I got through the news. I got through the case. Did a little business. That's the show for tonight. I once again remind you, if you've downloaded the ebook and you've read it, Volume 1, I'd appreciate it if you go to Amazon and give it a nice review. And if you are a member of the Unfound page, I've gotten a lot of great reviews there, 5-star reviews. I'd appreciate if you could do that as well. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And I will see you on the boards, and then you will hear me on Friday. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and I probably will do it more this way from now on, me just sitting in front of my laptop computer, my Dell computer, with Johnny and everybody else in the background. Good night. I hope everybody stays safe, and you'll hear me on Friday. Good night.